Is my depression suicidal?
When I am, the who was I know.
I'm a suit and tie away from a handgun in my eyeball.
Stall as I go idle.
Thought I was out of the illusion, now
Hello
I'm back.
everyone, welcome to Nobody's Tribe. It has been quite a while since I've done a video. It's taken me, I guess, a couple years now to do some integrating and finding the inner knowing of the spiritual path. So this video I think I will do on the topic of spiritual failure, failing spiritually. A lot of us, many of us, going through the spiritual path, we went through lots of suffering, and then we also went through periods of awakening. We saw the awakening part as the pinnacle of the journey. Sorry, my dogs are fighting. Stop fighting. So the awakening part, the transcending ego, the stepping out of suffering, the feeling of oneness, those are all beautiful, beautiful experiences. But what happens is once we get those experiences, we get flies, apparently. No. We get those experiences, we end up clinging to those experiences and demonizing any experience that makes us feel negative. Which once we have an experience of a transcendence of suffering, it is hard to step back into the world of form and suffering and arguments, negativity, all of that. So we often, as a way of avoidance, we're avoiding these negative things, and we end up putting ourselves into a bubble of like-minded people, which is fine, totally good. But we often do it out of resentment for those still trapped in something we believe we've transcended. And the truth is, we have not transcended it if we can't be around it. It's true. I mean, if you transcended your own personal things that you do that you no longer do, such as getting into useless arguments or being offended by people and all that stuff, you've not transcended it if you can't be around people that are arguing or have not gotten through those things. I am not saying that in every situation just be around people that are doing that, clashing and stuff like that, because there are energetic times for you, for me, when you need your space. That's totally fine. But in order to live a normal life, one cannot be glitter and fairies and light and love. I mean, you can, everything looks good with a little light and love, but that's not a solution to everything, is believing you're always going to feel amazing in every moment, because you know you've gone through your suffering and now you understand things you didn't understand. You are enlightened, you are or whatever it is, you label yourself a light worker. There comes, okay, if you are on a path of being a light worker or a spiritual person or whatever it is you label yourself in this spiritual path, understand that if you identify with your new self fully and you get your sense of satisfaction from your identification, when people that don't understand your new spiritual path, you feel offended or you feel lessened, you feel like you're less of a person because they belittled your identification, such as a light worker or an ascended master from the 18th dimension, or whatever it is you identify as, you're going to be broken out of it. Just to put it lightly, you're going to be dragged out of that, and it's not going to be very fun. So you go through a period of emptiness, spiritual failing is what I would call it. failing spiritually, where you end up back into a place where you are maybe possibly one of the worst spiritual people you could possibly be. You feel like you're the opposite of spiritual. In fact, you're almost even childish or immature, or all these different self-labels that come along with that. And this is not punishment or something the universe is doing to you because you know it's mad at you, or you know all hope is not gone because you're in this path. If you're in this path right now, you may have a feeling of emptiness. And I will touch on the emptiness. The emptiness is not spiritual failing. In fact, all of the created suffering that brought you to the point of this spiritual emptiness, where it's like, why should I even act? Nobody listens. It doesn't matter. All these, being a nihilist, nothing has meaning anymore. And you may have said, like, well, at one point everything had so much meaning and everything was magical and all this stuff. And here I am now feeling this emptiness and a sense of depression. For those that are on the spiritual path, and if you feel like you had been or are moving in an accelerated way, but you're hitting a point of emptiness now, know that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. 100% exactly where you are supposed to be. I don't say this as a concept or as a thing to believe in this and you'll feel better about your circumstances. If your circumstances are bad and there's a lot of things that your mind is saying, no, this is not where I'm supposed to be, this is real bad, I understand that perspective, but there is something beyond the circumstances of your life right now. There is something beyond it that is calling forth your attention. That is the emptiness itself. Because there is something that is beyond happiness and sadness, depressed, joyful. There is something beyond that. And that thing, for some of us, can only be harnessed when things are going bad on a consistent basis. Like I say, it will not be if you are in a place of feeling very negative, this place is not going to be a place of positive vibes and glitter and feeling one with the universe. It will only feel like an emptiness. So the only way, it's hard, it is a little hard to describe, but I hope I'm doing a good job for all of you. This emptiness is your home. This emptiness is the essence of who you are. But this emptiness allows you to no longer get or find or enhance yourself through the content of your life, even if the content of your life you believe to be so important. Like, I got a spiritual mission, I got to do this, I got to do that. The point is that you're, in order to get to a place where you can do those things without seeking yourself in them, you have to find that emptiness and understand it as who you are. So you can get to a place where seeking only the comfortable little niche of spiritual glitter and pixie sticks and all that fun stuff, you can't reside in that bubble in a world that is dominated by duality. For it has to be integrated. It is great when you go on vacation, on a spiritual vacation, and find all the love and light, and you're just being bombarded with happiness and peace and love, and you're Facebooking every single day about the oneness that truly is. And that's great, and that's all lovely, but it has to be matured and integrated. It doesn't have to be, but that is, if you don't mature it and integrate it, you're going to be dragged to integrate it, like I was. So the point of going into the emptiness is that you give up the fight and you simply reside in being, And if one does not understand this, residing in being, because it just sounds so cliche, like, oh, just be present, be in the now. It's a little bit more than that. It is, okay, an example of a way to find that space in you is, for example, okay, I don't feel good right now, I feel uncomfortable. Focus on the space in the room, and you cannot put the space as an object of your perception. The space cannot be seen as something, generally. The only way to know the space in the room is to feel the space in the room, and the only way to do that is to feel the space within you, between my words, between your thoughts. There is a space, and that space can be felt within you. It's the emptiness that most people think they need to fill. That space can be felt in you by focusing on the space in the room or wherever you're at, and then feeling the inner space within your body. It could just be thought of as like water dripping into your body, filling your whole body with water, filling your whole body with light. There is a presence, an emptiness. You could feel it. If you can't feel it in your body, you could feel it just in your heart area and your chest. That emptiness is not meant to be filled. Some say, oh, well, you should fill it with God. You should fill it with this. God becomes a concept that turns into a thought and becomes a false idol that you use for salvation from the emptiness, to save you from that emptiness. And it becomes a thing to find your identity in, to fill an emptiness that was never meant to be filled. If you can reside in the emptiness over and over and over again, because in the beginning the emptiness is not going to stay as a good thing, it'll be felt as a bad thing. So you have to reside in the emptiness, always go back to that, because you're giving up the fight, and slowly but surely that emptiness permeates your being as deep peace. And even if you are not happy, even if you're frustrated, you're feeling sickly, you're bothered by things, the peace is so much more intense than the content of life. The emptiness is so profound that those things kind of don't matter, and you don't cling to them because they don't tell you who you are anymore. Whether or not somebody is saying a bunch of very low vibration negative stuff, or people are telling you that you're the most spiritually enlightened human being in the world, and they think you're the most intelligent person they ever met, none of that changes who you are or who you know yourself to be. They're all just peripheral. They're all just content. So if right now you're thinking, I will be okay once I get the paycheck, once I get my book written, once I make a website, once I help people, if I can help people, then I will be complete. You will create more suffering along those lines. It will happen, and I'm not saying that as something scary. It's just that to be a fully integrated, conscious, spiritual person in this time, you have to go through the burning of all of the different identifications and seeking fulfillment in the content, and become the watcher. And at some point you may say, like, this isn't even being human, like, this is so weird to be the watcher, to not react to things. And it's like, it is a little strange at first, but again, I mean, if you're going through a place of deep integration and birthing, suffering, and just pain, being the watcher is the only way out. And that's the point. That is the point of where you're at right now in the spiritual failing. If you're in the spiritual failing, I do not know, but I'm just saying, if you're spiritually failing, everything collapses back to the watcher, because that's the only thing left to identify with when all else is failing and collapsing. You can't identify with other things anymore. You are not just depressed. I mean, if you feel like you're going to hurt yourself from depression, seek help from somebody else. That is totally fine. I'm not saying that you don't have other issues you need other people's comfort for. But if you are just at a place of like knowing you're on a good path, but you're just not feeling it, understand that the not feeling it is going to help you to collapse into the knower, into the watcher. I mean, the pinnacle of the journey of this is not to feel consciously sparkling in pixie dust all the time, because it's an unrealistic way to interact with people, because people will not vibe to that. In fact, they will think you're crazy. And it's okay if people think you're crazy. I mean, people thought I was crazy when I first started this journey online, and I understand why. I hadn't integrated any of it. I was just struck with all of the awe of it, and I thought that I could just instantaneously change other people and make them feel how I felt. And then I got very negative and upset when it didn't work. So we're all on the path of integration, and if anybody else wants help with integration, or they want to talk to me about integrating this because you feel like you're spiritually failing, because I know you're not. If you're watching this video, I mean, it's on purpose. Feel free to email me at nobodystribe@gmail.com. I am available now and still doing my thing. I'm going to go eat some good food. I think I hear my daughter crying, so I'm going to go see what's going on. I love you all, and safe travels in the now.